Given the events of the day, it's easy to see we have wandered from the original intent of the Founding Fathers. As a result, it seems our wayfaring government has converted us from a modest republic into a global empire. As a consequence, the empire requires vast sums to operate at home and abroad.
The trouble is every empire, whether you're talking about Rome or the Soviet Union, it's all based on the enslavement of humanity. And however well structured it is and however powerful it seems at any given time, that will only last so long. And I think people are starting to catch glimpses of the fact that that's true about the United States too. And everybody said, oh, it'll be around forever. It won't, because basically the tyrants who run the show and have been playing the game played it too far, as they always do, and will be collapsing their own game. It's nice that it always goes that way, that eventually every empire collapses and gives humanity basically another chance to try freedom.
Some spent at home satisfy the cultural Marxist agenda of the nanny state. Some spent abroad satisfy the corporate fascist agenda of the multinationals. Is it thus any wonder the national debt is now well over $10 trillion? How can we do this?
Do you feel the federal government has grown too big?
No, I do not. I feel that it's probably not big enough given the problems that we have right now. I think it should probably be bigger.
Ben Franklin might have answered this question by saying that Americans are too good-hearted. As a result, we have been overly generous to the poor and overly accommodating to the rich. All the while, we have failed to provide for the engine that keeps America strong, the middle class, those neither rich or poor. If the general welfare of the nation were high, there would be no need to tax the rich in order to provide for the poor. If the general welfare of the nation were high, there would be no need to help the poor, because they would be on their way to becoming rich.
Do you feel the federal government has grown too big?
Yes, I do, and I think it's continuing to get too big.
National debt is too high. And of course we were paying it down until things took a U-turn somewhere about 8 years ago.
The government has definitely become out of touch with we the people, because the government has now grown so much power. Right now there was an article today in the New York Times that 1 out of every $6 that people earn are from the government. There was a couple of months ago in the Wall Street Journal, there was an article that at least 40% of the people, and I can't remember the exact percentage, are some way tied on the government dole. As soon as this comes, we just become part of the government plantation. We are slaves to the government. We need the government. We are dependent upon the government for our livelihood, and the government no longer has to listen to us, because they know if we have a complaint, they can just pull some of our money, some of our resources, remove some of our handouts, and we're suddenly left in the lurch.
We are fast on our way to becoming a socialist nation, similar to the former Soviet Union. A Marxist government where 100% of the citizens were employed by the state. At the same time, we are spending almost $500 billion a year on the military, more than the combined spending of the next 25 nations.
I think we do spend too much on the military, but not enough on social programs.
We spend 4% of our gross national product on national defense, and we're committed to defend half of the world. You can't do that. We are facing imperial overstretch. That's what happened to the British Empire, and 10 years of war showed that the British Empire was overstretched, and it collapsed totally.
Eisenhower was dead right about the military-industrial complex. What more can you say than that? Just look around you, and there you see it everywhere.
As earlier discussed, lobbyists that flow money to keep certain congressmen in power have configured our laws in such a way they now benefit multinational corporations more than they benefit we the people.
These used to be American companies. They were great names, famous names: Boeing, General Motors, Ford, Chrysler, GE, and others. And they're still great companies, but they're no longer strictly American companies. They're global companies. And what they want to do is produce at the cheapest price they possibly can. And where are they going to get the cheapest workers? They're going to get them in Latin America, in Mexico, in the Far East, and in China. So what these multinational companies are now doing is they are transferring their plants and their factories and their technology over where production is cheapest and maintaining completely free access to the consumers in the United States. What the transnational companies profit from is basically by getting rid of their American workers, but keeping their American consumers. And in this sense, they no longer have any kind of a loyalty to the community where they were raised, or to the states, or to the country.
There is a revolution coming. It will not be like revolutions of the past.